Hello, 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 hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you all for taking the time to tune in to All Emotion. It's birthday week. That's right. We're celebrating 2 years that All Motion has been around the block. Second year anniversary. This is episode number 58. Again, All Emotion second anniversary part two. So we're 2 out of 6. And again, have a special guest before we get to him. Just want to say that number one, we really appreciate y'all, everybody, and all the guests that have been on All Emotion, like we've done before, and the first part of the 6-part miniseries. At the end, we'll go over all of the guests that are in this miniseries, and by far some of my favorite episodes. And I'll name a few because there's a special guest, like I said, on the phone. It's a big, huge part of All Emotion. Ladies and gentlemen, Scarcity, aka All Emotion, aka Dave Fernandez, aka Knowledge. Scarcity.
Yeah. What's going on? What's going on, Jacob? Yeah,
So,
thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you. Like you said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let's get it going.
all right, I appreciate you again. I know being very flexible. And then I'm gonna go, do it officially. But Jackie Winter, Sarin Orwig, Iraq and Afghanistan with me. For Denali, tiny restaurant where I grew up in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, that you and I spoke about. Dr. Udomo Ikaro, and then there's a couple other ones, but Master Martin, my deployment to Iraq. So even though you came in after, I knew you, right around that same time when we knew each other prior, you were coming on All Motion. What do you think about some of the episodes? And then also, what does All Motion, mean to you?
Well, All Emotion is definitely a podcast that everyone needs to tune into. It has inspired me to do great things. And when I think about some of those episodes, it's groundbreaking. We need the people to tap in. There are people out there that are hurting. There are people that are inquisitive. If they take the time to listen to these episodes, I guarantee you they won't regret it. So it means a lot to me.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And then this last thing, man, one more, and then we'll get right into the second part. What differentiates All Motion, in your opinion, to the other podcasts around the world?
I think we take a corporate approach, a military approach, militant minded. We have structure and All Emotion. I know a lot of podcasts. I know a lot of friends that do podcasting where we take this corporate. Is you have someone like yourself who's been in the military, for how many years? How many years you've been in the military? So that approach that we have is different from all of these other podcasts, right? And so I feel like that is something different that I've never seen before, right? We have an amazing website, allemotionpodcast.com, that differentiates us from a lot of other podcasts out there, in my opinion.
No, that's awesome, and I appreciate it. I know all the everybody's busy, but we're gonna roll right into it so we get the obviously the audience into it. I just like to do these introductions so that way we can lay the groundwork and lay the all the hard work we both put in. But anything lastly before we roll into the second part episode of this the series?
Yeah, I just want everyone to make sure that they check out the website, allemotionpodcast.com. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And please be a part of this movement. We're helping people. We're changing lives. So that's what we're doing. So look forward to more episodes and more people tuning in to the message.
And lastly, before we go out, so I'm just gonna name them off like we did last time in the first part, standard. We roll right into it. Part two series. Jackie Winter, number 10, Independent Women. Number 11, DD Odyssey, Esports. Number 12, retired Sergeant First Class and Patrol Captain, Williamsport, Pennsylvania Army National Guard. Served with him in Iraq and Afghanistan. My duty to serve. Number 12, number 13, Fred Denali. Love all, serve all. Number 14, Littoral Hype Mayhem, All Emotion. Number 15, Dr. Udama Ikro, Follow Your Dreams, Oscar Ayala, Never Sell Yourself Short. And lastly, number 17, Retired Master Sergeant Quan Martin, My Deployment to Iraq. So with that being said, Scar City, thank you, sir, for your time. Look forward to this one. Anything else before we shut it out and we roll right into the episode, sir?
Nah, just love, peace, and light.
Great. I appreciate you, sir, and I'll see you next episode.
Happy birthday, All Emotion.
Thank you, sir.
Him, oh, you couldn't open up a store in the mall, basically saying because it's a Black-owned business. And my father being, someone who you didn't tell him no, and you couldn't tell him that he couldn't because he was Black. My father was able to, through his connections, reach the governor of New Jersey. And from that point on, my father had a store, a Black-owned store in Woodbridge Mall. And from what he says, and it could be true, that he was the first Black-owned, store in the country, in a major mall. So that's how we got to Newark, New Jersey. I grew up in North Newark. Very few Blacks, a lot of Italians, a lot of Irish. I was raised Roman Catholic until I denounced it in the age of 16, the Basilica of Sacred Heart in Newark, New Jersey. The rest is history.
Bronx compared to the South Bronx, is there a big distinction in your own opinion from what you remember growing up there?
From what I can remember, I remember the Grand Concourse where, as a little girl, kind of remember there were a lot of Hasidic Jews. They were all the Black, and they would sit out in the Grand Concourse on the benches and have conversations and talk. Where we grew up in the Bronx, that part of the Bronx, at the time, it was a neighborhood. It wasn't the South Bronx that you see, the torn South Bronx that you saw on the news and stuff like that. A lot of that too were people who owned those buildings that basically burnt it down themselves because of insurance money they wanted to get.
Right.
That was a lot of that going on too. So there was that part of the Bronx, and then there was a part that I grew up in that was changing actually at the time. And so I don't remember everything, but I do remember the Grand Concourse. I do remember Yankee Stadium was not too far. I do remember certain things, and it was a neighborhood at the time, but it wasn't that part of the South Bronx that it was two different worlds.
They always said the Bronx was on fire. From what you remember, or your family, what do you think that was? What was, in your opinion, your family, what was that about?
The statement that the Bronx is on fire?
Correct.
But, well, parts of it was on fire. I mean,
not to be joking around, but no, seriously. I mean,
there are parts of the Bronx that
right.
were serious in the drugs. Yeah. Look, back in the 70s, you cannot tell me anything otherwise. You cannot tell me that the police did not put drugs and set up drugs in those neighborhoods. No Black person or Spanish people were flying private planes from, someplace in South America or wherever, flying and dropping, bags, blocks of cocaine. They weren't. That was being brought to those neighborhoods, and it was really for sport. Marry before you carry. I would be out here having kids. I would just be multiple date. I think Black women should multiple date, whether you're gay or straight. Multiple date. Have your options, because trust me when I tell you, although this last guy was profoundly shocking and disappointing, and I just never thoughtless and selfish. This man was just unbelievable. I thank God that I at least have had other men that are interested in me. You know what I mean? So I believe in multiple dating.
Do you have a preference when it comes to dating, or primarily Black men?
I've dated only Black men.
Okay.
There are men that come into my space that are very interested in me that are not. I'm always open to talking to men. You said something, and I just got a brain fart. But
brain fart. I'm sorry, I can't help you remember. No,
no. I just
Jackie.
I have done a lot in my years. And
what about Jewish men? I'm Jewish, Jackie. Can the Jewish guy? What about Jewish men? Can we
my
get
godfather was Jewish, Howard Prince.
What about, so would you give a Jewish man a shout out?
Listen, at this point in time in my life, when somebody asks me, what am I looking for, especially this last experience, I'm even more convicted that he better be kind.
Right.
If he is not kind, I don't want him.
You take feedback and try to make it better all the time. So yeah.
Right. So before we get going on the topic, can you tell us who you are and where you're from?
So originally, I'm Nigerian. I came to the States in 2006 for college. I studied accounting and finance. Started my career at Ernst & Young, and currently I work for a consulting firm, CFGI, in like a finance transformation sort of role. And right now, I'm just like glad to be on the podcast. Pleasure to be talking to you.
Ernst & Young. Can
Yes,
you
sir.
give the audience a little bit of info? Who is Ernst & Young? Because a lot of people know.
Fair enough. So Ernst & Young is a public accounting professional services company. They're part of like the Big Four alongside Deloitte, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and KPMG. So
I like how
yeah,
we said it at the same time, KPMG.
yeah. So it's
Awesome.
it was like
Why did they say the Big Four, do you think?
Well, it used to be the Big Eight before. So back in, I think, 2001 or 2002, I'm not like a history major, but there was a huge scandal in corporate America, the Enron scandal. And like the auditors at the time, Arthur Anderson, got into some hot soup. So following that scandal and lots of regulations, there was then like consolidations between all these regional accounting firms. So
There was and I learned financial accounting. What was that? What was that actual? What was the name of that? The practice that got put in place. Accounting practice. A new accounting practice.
Got it. They created the PCAOB, which was like a watchdog that kind of like sort of like monitors the Big Four companies to make
Right.
sure that they're actually doing the right thing. Because during the Enron scandal, I mean, Arthur Anderson partners were actually caught like, shredding papers with maybe the Enron executives and shit just to hide information because they were overstating their revenues and hiding losses in all these subsidiary accounts. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you for giving context. That way the audience can understand what's going on there. So, you came to the States at what age?
I was 17 at the time.
17. And I'm going to say congratulations because you just got your citizenship. How long ago?
I think it was 3 years ago.
Well, congratulations,
when I was-
seriously.
Yeah, thank you.
Because everything that's going on, I think, gives the audience a little bit of context and understanding.
The mission was a PRT mission to
Provincial Reconstruction Team.
yes, and our job was to get these people to and from the areas where they needed to go to accomplish their mission. The only way they could get there is by us. It was an infantry squad. We ran the gun trucks. We did the maneuver. We got out. We provided the safety for them. We got them back. I ended up my platoon ended up drawing the Kunar province. At the time was a hotbed of it had the Pesh Valley, the Korangal Valley. We bordered Pakistan in the north.
I think we were below you. You remember? I think
Yeah.
to God, we were right. Yeah.
Now, Asadabad was to our south, and we were in high elevation. This is Bin Laden was still alive, and it was a very combat intensive province, Kunar. We drew a lot of fire, enemy contact there, running these missions. And the big differences that I saw is they stood and fought.
And difference, and this is the question, compared to Iraq.
Yes, Iraq would try to kill you from, blow you up, shoot you at RPGs, snipe. They're running around. You can't even tell who's who a lot of times. In Afghanistan, you're fighting the Taliban. And the Taliban were more organized to me. They would coordinate attacks on you, coordinated attacks.
Can you explain that? Compared to Iraq, they'd blow up an IED on the road, and you never know. You know what? It's chaos when you're in Iraq, right? They put an IED, and then you.
Sometimes in Iraq, you felt like they were running around like a bunch of gangsters. Like a bunch of gangbangers, in pajamas. With big heavy weapons. Not like these yo-yos in America.
Yeah,
I mean, these guys are having heavy duty, medium machine guns, RPGs, artillery rounds, rockets. Yeah, and they're trying to kill you by shooting out a back of pickup trucks when you're walking in a field on a foot patrol.
Yeah.
That kind of nonsense. In Afghanistan, they sustain and fight and start firing in a coordinated effort at times. And they're just not hitting and running. These guys are laying into you. And I was telling you earlier, I went black on ammo in Afghanistan.
And the audience has no idea. Most of the audience doesn't know what that means.
Black on ammo, you go out with a combat load, and it's usually dictated by doctrine or knowledge of where you're going and what you anticipate on running into. I ran out of freaking ammo.
So not you personally with your own personal weapon. The audience, your gun truck.
Yeah, my gun trucks, my machine guns.
Right.
My Mark 19s, my 240s, my 50s. We were damn near black on ammo. I had every tire of my vehicle was shot out. Every damn one of them.
And no one in the world knows what that feels like.
And I'm stressing out. I'm stressing when this is occurring because I'm in charge of this.
And the best thing to do would be to call in QRF, though, at that point. Would you not agree?
No, QRF ain't coming. I called down the thunder.
You called airstrikes.
Mortar and artillery.
Yeah. I'm
calling on my name. My call sign was Demon 6.
Could you tell the audience when that happened, what you did? You called in artillery or mortar from that fire base.
I had to know when you're traversing through these areas, you damn well better know where your support's coming from.
Your grid coordinates, right?
Yeah, you better know what you're doing. And there's no room for error here. Your lives depend on it. You've got to show that we got this. Settle down, get a hold of yourself, do your stinking job, let the situation develop. If you ever had to deal with a victim, that's what people don't understand. You got to remember that there are victims to crimes, and the cops have to deal with them too. And they get I can't tell you how many times that I've dealt with frustration, getting the blame, catching the heat round from victims' families because of the system not doing its job. I'll do my job. I'll bring people into the system.
Right.
That's my job.
Right.
However, they see, you go ahead and sit in court sometimes and watch when they dress this clown up in a 3-piece suit. I think people should be drug into court in the clothes they were arrested in, to be honest with you. It's all theater. Anything but the truth.
Do you think in your time being a police officer that a lot of people got off, or do you think?
Oh, I know so. I'll tell you that for a fact. I've been to court 1,000 times.
Yeah.
The court. Yeah, you got two ways of looking at this. People mess up, and crimes are committed. Believe it or not, there are crimes being committed out here. This stuff isn't made up. You're not making this stuff up. Okay. Contrary to popular belief. Right. Somebody is responsible for this crime. Some people are caught red-handed. Some people are caught with a mountain of evidence. Some people are caught on freaking video. But it ain't them, right? It's not them. This is irresponsible. The system, unless you commit something heinous, the system is designed to turn people around. You sitting in denial of doing something that you did is your own demise. Not deny that. I look at it this way. As a cop, when I was a cop, I didn't care. You convince the legislators to legalize it, I don't make the laws. Cops don't.
Right.
They enforce the laws on the books.
Laws, right?
They enforce the laws on the books. This is how it is. And I would tell people that. Trust me, people would come up to me and ask me, what I thought about, hey, man, I said, hey, I don't care. Whatever floats your boat, I tell them. But let me tell you this. I hope they do legalize it because I would love to take a toke before I come to work. And I want the bus driver taking my grandkids to school to smoke up a bowl too before he goes, take the edge off. I want that Uber driver picking me up. to be token. I want that airline pilot. Now I want you to.
Well, the airline's a little different,
No,
right?
no. Hey, I want that semi truck driver at that truck stop hitting one up. Just take the edge off. Now I want you to think about that for a minute. And I said that to this guy. This was years ago. I was walking the beat, and this old stoner comes up to me. I'm happy-go-lucky. Hey, I'll talk to anybody. He posed the question, and that's how I answered him. You know what he said to me?
What'd he say?
You can't do that. You can't be doing that. And you know what I said back? So now you're telling me what I can and cannot do.
Yeah.
That's all. Did I make a point?
Just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you made a point.
Something to think about, isn't it? When you want to open it up, we'll open it up.
We got to go back. We got to finish it up here because I got to get. I'm like you. I got busy. I got to roll out.
Yeah,
but
right.
I like that. Was deep.
Yeah, that is deep. It makes you think.
Hey there, everyone. This is Daniel Risco from Energize Massage. I'm here to give you guys a quick message on why massages are so important. Basically because they increase your circulatory system, and the more your circulatory system has more flow within the body, the faster your body can recover. I can explain a little bit more. Perhaps if we meet up sometime or you get a massage with me. Energize Massage is located at 9990 Fairfax Boulevard in Fairfax, Virginia 22030. At any time, you guys can give me a call at 571-831-2848. I look forward to hearing from you. You can also text me. If you're a person who likes to do everything online, my website is www.energizemassages.com, and there is a tab where you can book an appointment. I look forward to seeing you guys. Take care.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Mr. Fred Denelli.
Hey, Jake, how are you, sir?
It's been a long time.
Yes, good to see you. You look good.
I was just thinking about one of the first times I met you before this, but I used to supply you a little bit of seafood.
Yes, that's right. When you were up on the boulevard there with, what was your partner's
Chuck.
name? Chuck, yeah. That was great.
That was a good time.
That was a good spot. I wish you kept it rolling a
About
little longer.
over 15 years, but I just wanted to say thank you for you've always been someone to look out and think about small little businesses.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
People helped us, and you got to give it back and help other people.
We're just talking about it. You've been here at Franco's, which is downtown Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Being in the business for so long, especially in this town, and then maybe traveling, when you see something that you created, it's almost like you see it in another restaurant, and you're like, I did that.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's got to
happened
kind
to us.
it's frustrating. So how have you over the years been able to kind of just say, you know what, chalk it up, I guess, or?
Yeah, after a while, you kind of, unfortunately, have to get used to it and just keep swallowing it. But, at first, it's a little offensive and startling when you realize someone's, basically copied your recipe and they're serving it now as well. And I've done that myself, but I don't do it in the same market I'm working in. I picked up ideas from Manhattan. I go in there a lot. We have family there, my godmother.
Oh, wow.
I go upstate New York. And you look at menus, you pick up ideas, you think maybe we could pull off something like that, or how can we do that? But yeah, when it's blatantly the same name of the recipe, the same exact thing, you kind of wonder, how can they get away with this? But you really can't copyright recipes.
Right.
People can look at it and change one item and it's not the same, right? So
Right.
it's interesting how that plays. Well, yeah, even before the pandemic.
Before that.
The stats in Manhattan, like I said, I go in there a lot. My godmother was a big foodie, and I've grown up with that influence as well. But even before the pandemic, 9 out of 10 restaurants would go out of business in Manhattan, a 90% failure rate. So it's even tighter and harder and more challenging now for the restaurants everywhere, let alone some of your bigger markets. And even the smaller markets are limited, and there's only so much spending and market potential that you can get in on, and hopefully you can sustain a business, a restaurant around that.
Right. And
she talks about she has it's episode 6, I think, but she talks about trauma, like she experiences a young girl growing up.
Yeah. And yeah, that's wild. And to speak on that, right? Like your trauma and like going to the military and stuff like that. Like, just to shed some light on that, I have family. I never served. Unfortunately, I served a prison sentence instead of going to the military. You know what I mean? But I have family, bro, and that's been to the military. Friends too. Like I've had a friend that went to the Marines, and his job was picking up dead bodies.
We talked about that. I remember, yeah.
Yeah, and he didn't. He wasn't right when he came back. Like my homeboy left my homeboy and came back somebody totally different than and like I didn't know, like we couldn't connect anymore. Like I always try to like talk to him, right, and try to get him to express himself or whatever, like have some connection or whatever, but it just wasn't there. He just didn't want to connect with anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, isolate.
Yeah, isolate. It's bad, yo. But I can kind of relate to that, as far as like kind of staying away from people. But I don't know, man. I wish there was something. You probably know better than me. Like when people have like PTSD episodes or get depression or anxiety, and their doctors are just feeding them medicine. Like what's your perspective on that?
It's tough, man, because some people need the medication.
Yeah, and in some cases too, so they don't need that much medication, and it messes them up even more.
I mean, I am a firm believer. Like I go to the gym, I try to go, every day. I like to cook, so finding those things that are therapeutic for you to do can help. And like to your point, of not I don't take any medication for anything. I mean, I take something for sleep at night. It's just like it's sort of the 5-HTP
used a lot. Yeah.
Ask you a hard question.
Yeah.
The first time you saw someone pass, or to make that not your decision, the family want to take someone off ventilator.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Man, it's a tough experience, man. It was rough. For the family, just being there, seeing the family have to make that decision, it kills them.
They almost look to you to make it in a way, almost, right? I think you and I discussed a little bit in that sense.
I mean, they look to you for your best, for guidance, but ultimately they make the decision. But you have to be very honest with them and very empathetic with the struggle of having to make this decision for a family member. And it's hardest on patients, who don't have any advanced directives or anything like that. So the loved ones, they are left with the task of making this decision. And it's very difficult for them. It's very difficult, and I feel for them. And, they have to live with that decision over the rest of their life, But, it's sometimes it's best to withdraw care rather than prolonging the person's suffering.
Yeah. It's tough. And I remember you told me a story one day. There was 3 patients when you're on. I'm not thinking too deep. 3 patients that coded one time.
Yeah, at the height of everything, we had rough nights in the unit, and we had an episode where we had 3 patients code almost simultaneously. It was a tough one, but the ICU nurses, they are amazing. I mean,
the nurses don't get a lot of credit, right? Like I feel like they're really unappreciated. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Creek care nurses, they are the best.
And I didn't know a guy I rented out to my condo, and my condo. Mm-hmm. I didn't know there was different types of ICUs. He worked in Fairfax County. He worked at the cardio ICU.
Okay.
And I didn't know that. I thought it was
cardiac ICU.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a regular ICU. I didn't know there's different ICU.
Yeah, we have.
Does that make sense? I mean,
we have neuro ICU. They have medical ICU, peds, cardiac. I mean, we have everything, but specifically, I'm more interested in the medical ICU floors, rather medical units. But yeah, the ICU nurses, they're amazing. They do amazing work. Anyone who's an ICU nurse out there, just shout out
right?
to
Shout out, right? Just a shout out,
you do
right?
good work, man. Yeah.
Shout out to all the nurses.
All the nurses, yeah. Shout out to them. They make life much easier for us.
And then
what made you get back up? What's your why? A lot of people, we don't think about this. What's our why?
Exactly.
What's our purpose in this life? Like, what's like the, because like I said, I believe in God, so I'm gonna bring a little bit into God into this. Like, we are 1 in 3. Is it the 3 or 30? I think 1 out of 3 trillion sperm is the hits the egg. Look that up. 1 out of 3 trillion, I believe it is. And for you to be the one that hits that, and then your mom being pregnant and you being born and being able to walk and think and talk and being smart, we're not just born for no reason, man. So once we've learned that there's a purpose for our life, okay, what is it what do I want? What do I want my purpose to be? You know what I mean? So when it comes down to that, I learned that, hey, you know what, man? All right, what do I want? How bad do I want it? What am I willing to do for it? What am I willing to do for it? Now, I got to step up. So for me, it's like, all right, I'm feeling down or whatever. I need to step out of it. And another thing that helped me the most, when I decided to go into entrepreneurship, is having a mentor. Having a mentor that's been there, that started just like me, that went through the things that I'm going through. So you're talking to someone that's been there. It's not just anybody. I have this one thing that, this one saying that, look, don't ever ask for advice or take advice from someone you wouldn't trade lives with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, mentorship is huge. Also reading books. I was looking at that.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot there. I've read a lot, some of them, but there's a lot there that, and we'll talk after.
Yeah.
I need to get it. Yeah. I told you.
You got to read it again.
Yeah. No, I haven't read all those. That's my point.
Okay.
I'm not gonna. I told you that's part of my thing. And definitely speaking about those books. So we got some interesting questions coming up. So I hope you're prepared.
Let's go.
So, what differentiates you from you? You're probably like, what does that even mean?
No, I love that. So, number 1, sobriety.
I like that.
Sobriety, that's a huge, huge, huge difference from me, now me. Also, getting closer to God in my case, spirituality. That has helped me tremendously. You know what I mean? I go to a Christian non-denominational church, and I love how they use the word of God with today society, and it just makes it simple to understand. You know what I mean? So, it was, the first one is, sobriety. Then it was, getting closer to God, and mentorship, whether it's from my mentors or whether it's from my mentors or from books, reading, philosophy, psychology, you know what I mean? Learning from people like, some awesome books, and learning from people that have worse experiences than us, man. Because sometimes we're like, oh my God.
So to that point, someone has it worse than us.
Always, man.
That's a good point. Thank you for saying that.
Always.
And we all, especially everybody in America. We understand. I just saw something really cool today I want to share. Mm-hmm. I was in the gym. I took a picture, actually. I thought it was really dope. A white woman, or it doesn't matter. So a woman walked past a lady that was sleeping on the bench outside the Gold's Gym, mm-hmm. right? And she turned back around and she had a $20 bill in her hand and she put it right in her, like where the lady was sleeping, in her bag or something.
Wow.
I took a picture and I just thought, to what you just shared right now, how that, someone has it worse.
So many people, man.
We need, you and I and everybody else we complain about stuff. I listen, like I said, I'm a work in progress. I shared that last night.
We all are. We all are.
We all find something to complain about or upset about. But there's people like we shared those countries last night, part of all continents, South and Central America, Africa, parts of Asia, the Middle East. They're either oppressed or, couldn't even imagine what it would be like to go to a foco de chao.
Yeah.
People didn't even have food for the day to eat or running water, clean running water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's awesome that you shared that.
Yeah, man. So, and another thing is this: it can only there's people that sometimes we talk to. How you doing?
What is a combat landing?
Oh, good point. So first of all, you're packed in the C-130s like sardines. I mean, they're not your American Airlines, United Airlines.
They're no commercial
Delta.
airlines.
No, this is you're sitting on a web seat, fiber web seat, and there's no. You're sitting back to back and face to face to your buddy in that plane, and your knees are like interlocked. There's no room to stretch your legs or nothing. So for 2.5, 3 hours, no air condition. For 2.5, 3 hours, you're sitting in a plane, and it is hot. Everybody's sweating. Everybody's soaked, and about let's say 30 minutes out, you start doing this downward spiral. So basically what a combat land is they will do a downward spiral at a pretty good descent until they get to the runway, and then they'll land. Basically, that's to deter any type of anti-aircraft weapons and things like that. So that's what a combat landing basically
And the
is.
pilot nosedives the plane, basically.
Yes.
To avoid
Yes.
fire.
Nosedive in a spiral, not just straight down, but in a spiral. And people get sick and, we had basically 5 tons of armor on the back that we were thrown in and taken over to Habanea, which is only maybe like 2 miles away.
So you arrive at Habanera. Your point.
Yep.
On a Bradley fighting vehicle.
Yep.
But you end up on tanks. Can you let the audience know why in the hell would you end up on tanks?
Before we get there, let's back up. So we get to.
I'm laughing because
we get to Habanea. There's no building for us to stay in. I remember it was myself and probably there was another staff sergeant that was with us. You know who it is, but I won't call any names. But we slept outside on our duffel bags and our rucksacks the first night. And I remember SEAL Team 5 came out. We were right beside their dorm. They came out and was like, "You guys are crazy. I can't believe you slept out here all night."
Because there was mortar fire.
There was mortar fire.
RPGs,
scorpions all over the place.
Oh yeah, I remember the scorpions.
Camel spiders.
Not like they're not poisonous, but still, yeah.
And they're not big like you see on the. But they're big, but they're not. They don't look like Alaskan king crabs. They're crazy. I can't believe.
Where were the SEALs sleeping at?
They had a building.
You damn right they had a building.
They actually had 4 buildings that they occupied. They gave us 2 of their buildings because they weren't using them and had no plans to use them. So they told us that morning, "You guys, please, you're more than welcome to stay in these 2 buildings right here." He's like, "They've been cleared, but it's been a while. I don't know what's in them, but walk through, see what you got, and you're more than welcome to. And we'll get you guys set up with water because remember, there's no wells. You got a big tank outside and a pump so you can have a shower and all that kind of stuff." But they hooked us up. They hooked us up when we first got there until we got our permanent dorms. Because remember, the unit that we were replacing had not pulled out yet. The intel that we were getting were our basic mission at that time was to do route clearance for the convoys, supply convoys.
Wow. Please, thank you all for taking the time to tune in and listen and go back. I just want to say thank you our guests, all of you that have tuned in for the last 2 years, All Emotions birthday. This is an amazing experience. This is part 2 of a 6-part miniseries. Just want to thank all the All Emotions staff, all the guests, everybody that's contributed over the last 2 years. Thank you again. This is Jake from All Emotions, Scarcity, and myself, All Emotions team.